All right, we're live.
Hello.
Hello. Just checking if it works.
Yeah.
Welcome to our first Tuesday evening YouTube live question and answer. We've got some great people and topics lined up for the next few weeks to give you an opportunity to learn a bit more about church life and to ask any questions about the various themes and topics and areas of church life that we're going to talk about this next few weeks. If you are watching this after the fact, you can feel free to get in touch with anybody from church. All the details are at sarfellowship.com. But obviously there won't be a live chat bit for you to drop any questions in. If you are watching us live, feel free to put any questions that you've got in the chat about kids church related stuff. And Robyn, our kids church coordinator, will do her very best to answer them for you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
We should have practiced this.
We should.
What we're going to say, and we've got the introduction done, and then what we're going to talk about. Tell us a little bit about you and how you came to be kids church coordinator for SAR Fellowship.
So, my name's Robyn. I'm James's wife, as well as the kids church coordinator. I was teaching in kids church when we sort of first arrived in Bahrain. So that was nearly 8 years ago now. And I started teaching in kids church, and then I stopped for a little bit when I had our two little boys. And then there was a need for a new coordinator, and so we prayed about it. And I think that was just after Jesse was born, so about 4 years ago now.
So you've been coordinating kids church for 4 years.
Yeah.
One of which has been a pandemic.
Yeah.
All right. Do you like it?
I do.
Do you enjoy coordinating kids church? I don't think I've ever asked you that before. Do you actually enjoy coordinating kids church? I probably suggested and encouraged you to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, 4 years ago, I was assistant pastor.
Yeah.
So working part-time at the church, full-time at school. So it's not like I coerced you. I was like, look,
No.
You're my wife. I'm the pastor. You ought to be kids church person. You did it of your own accord, your own merit.
No, we prayed about it.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
And it felt like the right thing for us to do.
Yeah.
Felt like God was leading us down that path.
Leaving us?
Oh, no.
You hope not.
That'd be awful.
Yeah, that would be awful. So tell us, for people that have joined the church in the last 12 months, people often ask me, at least, what is kids church like? So pre-pandemic and Lord willing post-pandemic, what's kids church at SAR Fellowship like? Why is it a great thing? Because we often tell people it's a massive strength of the church, but why?
It is. It's a great strength of the church. We have a really good kids church program. So pre-pandemic, this is how it would go. We'd have, we have a great curriculum. For a start, we have wonderful teachers and assistants, and that makes the world a difference. And we would split the kids. So we'd have the under threes would just go to a creche, like a nursery, where they could just play. And then we'd split the other kids, age 3 to 4, 5 to 6, 5 to 6, 7 to 8, 9 to 10, and 11 to 13. We raised the age a little bit on that last group. And they'd each have a classroom. They would go, we'd do kids worship first, and they'd go off to their individual classrooms with their teachers and assistants, and the curriculum was there for those guys, and they'd take the kids through it. And it's really fun. It's completely Bible focused, and the curriculum we have takes you through all the Bible, which I think is a real strength. And yeah, lots of prayer, worship, fun. Yeah.
Very good. You said that the teachers and the volunteers and the staff in the creche are a real strength. Staff in the creche are the same every week.
Yes.
So that if you've got an under 2, they're going to become comfortable with that same person.
Yeah.
So they don't chop and change. How about teachers in the 3 up to the 11s? How does that work?
They would normally change it on a monthly basis. So it didn't always work out, but we'd try and have the same teacher and assistant in each classroom for a month at a time, and then they'd have 2 months off. and then they go back on. So you teach sort of 1 month, have 2 months off.
Yeah, so people would end up teaching 3, maybe 4 times a year at a pinch. So
Yeah, because then the teachers can, and the assistants and everyone can also get some time in church and listen to your sermon and join the adult service.
Okay. Pre-pandemic.
Yeah. It worked really well.
It did work really well. Yeah. We would often, like, all
our
jokes
kids
aside,
love it.
yeah, we would tell people that the kids' church is a really big strength of the church. On any given Friday, and it kind of fluctuates a lot with school holidays in the summer and times like that. On any given Friday, how many kids would be looked after and taught and cared for total, and how many kind of per class? Because I know some parents would be a bit reticent to send their kids to a class where there's 50 kids in just one massive class. So how did it work with numbers? Like, how many kids are there total? And then when you break down, what's that kind of atmosphere like?
Yeah, so we would have about between 80 and 100 kids every week, just depending, like you said, on holidays and time of year and that kind of thing. And then in the classrooms, it's one of those things where it just kind of depends what kids we've got in the church, but it would be sort of around, I mean, ideally it'd be around sort of 15 to 20. At one point, we seemed to just have a huge amount of 5 and 6 year olds. I think there was like 30 of them, and the classrooms only have 25 chairs.
So what did you do? And what a great problem to have.
We've got
too many kids in
and
our
we had
program.
to focus on
what
that.
did you do? How did you solve that? What was the solution?
We split the class. So we split them down into 2 classrooms. We moved the 11 to 13 year olds onto like a group of sofas and out of the classroom so that we could have the extra classroom for the 5 and 6 year olds. And we had some great people step up to teach the extra class sort of on short notice.
Very good. So I'm thinking about teachers again. A lot of people ask about the volunteers, the teachers in kids' church. We said that the 2s and unders, the nursery or the creche, they're looked after by the same people every week, so that the youngest members of our church family get really comfortable, and then Friday morning becomes something they look forward to because they're playing with their friends and these people that look after them every single week. You said that other classes, people would teach for a month, a couple of months off. What kind of checks and balances are in place to make sure that we've got the right people looking after our kids, like yours and mine, literal kids, but our kids, bigger pictures, our fellowship? What structures are in place to make sure that we get the right people looking after the kids?
So every, anytime anyone wants to serve in any ministry in the church, we have a screening process, as you know. So we would meet one-on-one with whoever wants to serve. So if, I would meet with the females, and you or one of the elders would meet with any males who want to serve. And we just have a great list of things that we ask them and that we want to know from them. And it's just a really good time to chat as well, and about them and who they are and their experiences and why they want to serve, and why they think God's led them to serve in church at this time.
Okay. So that was all pre-pandemic.
It was.
And Lord willing, we will get back to that post-pandemic. The time frame might look a bit different to what most people hope and wish for. How do you think kids' church, the Star Fellowship Kids Ministry, is going to look different? How do you think it's going to be different post-pandemic?
Well, I don't think we're going to first have the volume of kids, just because some people have left the country completely, and other people may feel safer staying at home still during the pandemic, especially those, there's been a few people who've had new babies and that kind of thing, and it's just a bit more of a risk for a newborn to be out than, say, a 13-year-old.
Okay, so there'll be a smaller number of kids. There won't be that 50, 60, 100 kids rolling around on a Friday.
No.
It's smaller in volume.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't think we can expect to go back to exactly how it was straight away. So there's going to need to be steps sort of in between to get us back up full and running. Up and running.
Up and running.
Up and running.
Yeah.
That's the phrase. And what those steps are, we're not completely sure yet, to be honest. We're just going to have to see what guidelines we're given by the government, by the school, and just go from there, really. But yeah, I mean, either way, regardless of what happens, we'll have a place for kids to go and be loved and be told God's word and be taught God's word. And how it looks and how it changes over time is just something that we'll need to have a lot of grace with. But yeah, we'll get there.
No doubt.
Yeah.
If people have lived in Bahrain for more than a couple of months, they've probably noticed that there's quite a high turnover of people. I think anywhere between 25 and 40% of the church might leave every year.
Yeah.
But we're very grateful that God's been very faithful, that there's constantly a stream of new people coming in, but it can be quite high, can't it? 25, 30, 40% of people are going to leave every year. How do you, as our kids' church looking after person, how do you deal with that high turnover of people every year? Because she said kids' church really relies on the strength of the volunteers and people giving time and talents to teach and to care for kids. How do you deal with the high turnover of people every year?
I mean, it's always quite bittersweet, because obviously you're losing people who you really love and value, and you're going to miss them in the church. And then it's exciting when you get new people come in. I think a lot of people seem to cycle in and out along with the school year. So as we're preparing to finish our kids' church summer program and start up in September, it's always a bit sort of, who's going to teach this first month, because you've not necessarily met everyone new who's coming in. But like you said, God always provides. He's always very faithful. I don't think we've ever had to cancel a class. So, there you go. Yeah. There's always someone who'll step in last minute should there be an emergency. And yeah.
As a regular thing, obviously there are times of year when we do have a big family service. Everybody's in the same place, same room, same time. But as a regular steady state, why do you think it's important that kids are taught in kids' church and have some time with their peers being taught on their level each week?
I think it's really important that they can be taught on a level that they understand. And, the younger that you are, the simpler that has to be. So for our youngest son, Jesse, he is learning these big concepts now. So God loves you. God provides you with a home. He gives you a family. He gives you food. And it's these kind of like bigger ideas. And he's just sort of discovering who God is and what his character is. Whereas the older you get, obviously you want to go deeper and find out more, and there'll be more details. So it's really important to hit kids on the level that they're at, so that they're actually understanding what they're learning and not being overwhelmed with all this information that they don't really know what to deal with. But it's great socially, especially with us living in Bahrain, so it's a Muslim country, to have that group of Christian friends that they can share their life with and really confide in and trust, and know that they have the same values as them as well. That's really valuable for kids, just to have that strong group of friends.
How can people get involved and serve in kids' church, both now in the pandemic, at this kind of very odd season that we're in? How can people get involved now, and when in-person services resume and we want to start a kids program again? How can people get involved? How can they help? How can they serve in this particular way?
So right now it's a lot of what are you doing at home with your kids, because that's really where faith starts. And that's, going to kids church is wonderful, but it's kind of the cherry on the top of your week. You should be working throughout the whole week with your kids and teaching them God's word and leading by example and just talking to them about your faith in general. So it's really kind of in the home at the moment, and we're putting out a resource every day. It's Walk the Word Kids, and that's a daily devotional, and that's going straight through books in the Bible. So it's not just doing like the big well-known stories, it's covering each sort of chapter of a book in the Bible and putting that on level for a kid to understand.
And where can people get that?
So you can get that at walkthewordkids.com, the Instagram, which is at walkthewordkids, and it's also on the church app and website.
Yeah. So there's 4 places where people can get
yeah.
our central resource for Kids Church
Yeah.
in the pandemic. Walk the Word Kids. So they can get it on walkthewordkids.com.
Yeah.
They can get it on the Walk the Word's Instagram at Walk the Word Kids.
Yeah.
The church website, which is
Sarfellowship.com. Is that a test?
Yep. Passed.
Thank you.
And they can get it on the church app, which
Yeah.
they can download from the church website.
Yes.
Sarfellowship.com.
Yeah. So right now, and that devotional as well,
Yeah, tell us about that. So what do you expect like our 4-year-old boy to sit and read a daily devotional?
No, I
Have
read
some
it.
quiet time in the corner with his Bible?
That'd be wonderful.
That would be good.
That'd be great. We
If
should
people
aim
know
for
how
that.
to do that, please do let us know how you get a 4-year-old to have his daily quiet time.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
No, so I read it to our boys, and we do our kind of we do this in the morning over breakfast. We'll sit down and read the devotional, and so it takes you through the chapter or the passage of that day. There's some questions to ask your kids as well, just
About what you've
just read. Yeah,
Yep.
just check their understanding. And obviously, if you've got older kids, you could always ask them more questions or ask some follow-up questions. If you've got younger kids, you can just keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a little prayer to pray with them as well. So we just sit down every morning and have that little Bible time together. It's a really nice way to start the day.
Very good. So there's a short devotional, a couple 100 words.
Yeah.
Nothing much.
No, nothing.
It's
much.
not going to take 20 minutes.
No, not at all.
So a couple 100 words.
Yeah.
Questions to ask your kids about what they've just heard.
Yeah.
And prayers to pray with them.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to hear kids' responses to questions that you
it is.
ask them, and come up with some
Yeah.
some great things sometimes.
Yeah, they do. So in the pandemic, that's how people can serve in Kids Church, by serving their own kids.
Yeah.
How about people in church who've got older kids, moved out kids, don't have kids? What can they do what can they do now? Feel stirred and moved to help in Kids Church now. What can they do for the kids of Sarfellowship right now?
Right now, the best thing to do would be to get in touch with myself or you, or just me.
Fine.
Yeah. And we can connect them with a family who's kind of needing a little bit of extra help and extra support during this time. And that'd be a really great way to serve the kids of our church right now.
Post-pandemic, when we resume in-person services, which is Lord willing going to be very soon, how can people get involved and serve the kids of Sarfellowship and serve the church and God in this particular way? How can they do that after when we're moving out of this very odd season and we're back together and in person? How can people serve then?
Like we said, we won't know exactly what it's going to look like, but we do know that we'll need people to help and to serve in this ministry. So we have wonderful teachers, but some of them have moved on now. They've either left Bahrain or they've stepped down from Kids Church. So we're always going to need new people to come in and to serve. So if anyone's looking to serve after the pandemic, when we can get as we're kind of moving back into meeting in person, then please do get in touch. I'd love to hear from you, and we can definitely just move forward together.
Why should people do it?
Because it's a great way to serve church, to serve kids, and to serve God. And you get to teach these little children about Jesus and about who God is, and it's so rewarding, and it's so important for them to grow up with this. And for me personally, I didn't grow up in church, and so I'm always amazed when I see these kids and they've got such a strong Bible knowledge at such a young age. And I just think, if I'd have had that when I was a kid. It would have completely changed the way that I viewed the world. And so to see kids growing up with this sense that they're so loved and they have such a strong sense of security in Jesus, and it's really amazing, and it's so special to be a part of that.
That's quite a good reason. Yeah, that's quite a big reason. It's quite a long reason.
Sorry.
Well done.
And it's fun. There we go. There's another reason.
Yeah. We'll buy you dinner a couple of times a year.
Yeah.
Buy you a shawarma, say thanks.
Sign up for kids' church, free shawarmas.
Yeah, true. All right, really quick. Best thing about being kids' church coordinator at South Fellowship?
All the people you get to interact with.
Best thing about kids' church at South Fellowship, full stop.
The kids.
Biggest challenge about being kids' church coordinator at South Fellowship?
Making sure we have enough teachers and assistants.
Age group that you most enjoy teaching on a Friday, if you've got to fill in?
5 to 6.
Why?
I think that they're still very young, and so they're very fun and what they're doing and how they're learning, but they've got just that little bit more maturity, that they're not still, bouncing off the walls and asking to play toys and that kind of thing. So you get the really nice balance of like kids who can sit down and listen and partake in your activities really, really well, but they're still so young and so cute and fun. It's my favorite age group. I love teaching that age. I wasn't sad when we had to split that class in half.
Oh no, I need to fill in.
Too many of these kids.
Oh, very good. So I think that's all the questions that I had for you about kids' church. Is there anything else that you feel is so important to let people know about kids' church? Because we said we're going to archive these videos, put them on the church website, use them as a resource for new people. You're new to South Fellowship, check out these videos about church life. Is there anything else that you really want people to know about kids' church at South Fellowship?
I think when we get back into meeting in person, and people love to drop their kids off at kids' church, but not.
You mean hang on a minute, pause there. We're not a drop off. You don't drop your kids off and when can I pick them up? You mean when people sign their kids into kids' church and then go and actively participate in the service?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
We'll cut that out.
Not drop off and go to Starbucks.
Yeah, no, that's not what we do.
No, but lots of people love to sign their children into kids' church and then go and enjoy the service, and that's wonderful. And they often get a bit scared that they can't teach or assist or anything in kids' church because they've never done it before and they don't know how and they don't have any experience. And so I would just say that just give it a go. Like, there's such satisfaction from teaching these kids, and you get to the end of your hour with them and you can just ask them, what did we learn today, or what was the lesson about? And no matter how well you think you've done, whether you think you've given the best lesson you've ever given in your life, or it's just been like, disaster, which is rare, but you felt like you've not done that well. They all leave learning something new about God, and that is so valuable and so satisfying. So even if you're not sure, you don't think you can do it, you definitely can. So just come and give it a go and just.
That was a really good answer because it's given me 2 more questions.
Oh, have I?
If people want to, but they're kind of nervous, what kind of training is on offer for people who want to teach in kids' church? Surely you're not going to bring them in on a Friday, push them through the door and like, here's 20 kids, see you in an hour.
No, absolutely not. That wouldn't be fun for anyone. No, of course not. Well, I'll obviously sit down with anyone who wants to teach, and we have the curriculum laid out for you, which is really simple, sort of step by step that you can follow, or it's easy to adapt if you feel you can. But we definitely do training. You could even start, just assisting or going in and watching one of the classes for a few weeks and seeing how that teacher does it. And we did have regular training sessions as well, pre-pandemic.
We kind of touched on this, but we probably should make it explicitly clear. So people would sign their kids in at 10, usually a few minutes before 10, so that they're in the main service that starts at 10. This is pre-pandemic, obviously the times might change. So you sign your kids in a few minutes before the main service starts. Kids go off and do their own worship and have some prayer together, all together. And that's about 10, 15 minutes. So we're looking at 1/4 the hour. Then how long, people might think, I don't want to do kids church on a Friday if it's going to, I'm going to be there for 2 hours with these kids. How long is the commitment each week?
Well, firstly, let me just say that we have a separate worship leader for the kids. So it was not the teachers who lead.
So your teachers are not expected to lead worship?
No. So there'll be someone who will serve in that role as a worship leader. So you can stand with your kids and actually worship.
Well, that would be good, because if you're just standing there, they're not gonna. They're gonna look at you and think, "Oh, my teacher's not doing it. I'm not gonna do it either."
No, exactly. So you get to stand and worship with the kids, which is really fun. And then, so you go into the classroom at say 10:15, and then we say to plan for an hour. Usually the service finishes around 11, the main service, and then 11:15. Okay. Then we've planned it perfectly.
Yeah.
Then an hour is just right.
So it's about an hour.
Yeah, it's about an hour.
Plan for an hour with the kids. It's not 2 hours, 3 hours. It's not 2 or 3 times. It's an hour.
No.
You
It's
plan
about
for an hour.
Yeah.
Most weeks.
Yeah.
You're going to wrap up before that, but you would encourage people to have an hour's worth of activities.
Yeah, definitely.
And what kind of activities is going to be provided in the curriculum that they're given, the training that they're given, and that really nice community of kids' church teachers that they'd then be a part of to bounce ideas off. And
definitely.
have some like counselling together afterwards. Kids' church.
Yeah, and we've had classes where you don't need counselling.
No, people don't need counselling to kids' church. We make that really clear. They love people.
We've had classes who love to finish their lesson on a quiz. So the previous teacher would say, hey, I've been running through these quizzes with the class and they're absolutely loving it, so here's some resources for you next month. There's such a great community of, like you just said, sharing ideas and saying what's worked, what's not worked, what the kids have really been enjoying. Or someone will say, hey, I tried this game today because we had some extra time and it was brilliant. So then you've always got that in the back of your mind as well, should you need an extra activity.
Very good.
Yeah.
I think now then that's the end of all my questions.
That's the end of it.
Now you've prompted me to 2 more. Any parting words about Kids Church at South Fellowship? We said we're going to, these next few Tuesday evenings, talk about different areas of church life. Any parting words about Kids Church at South Fellowship?
It's a wonderful ministry. It's a great thing to be involved in. I know our kids have loved it, and there's just a sense of joy around Kids Church, which is so wonderful. You get these kids and they've just got this absolute love and zest and everything for God, and they're so passionate and bold. And so they're really inspiring. So it's a great place to be. It's a great place to serve, and I really can't wait until we can get back to it. But in the meantime, until that happens, we have the Walk the Word Kids resource there, and if you need any extra help or support, then just reach out to us and we can connect with other people as well.
Very good. Robyn, thank you very much for answering the questions and telling us about Kids Church. As we said, these next few weeks, we're going to do this with a few different people from a few different areas of church life. Keep your eyes open to our WhatsApp broadcast list. If you're in Bahrain and you don't get those messages, send us a message. We'll add you to that list. And you can also get these videos by the church website and on our YouTube page. But Robyn, thank you very much again. And until we see you next, God bless. 29 minutes.